You read the title. I was an extra in Spider-Man No Way Home with Tom Holland, and in this video I'm going to tell you about how I got the gig, what my experience was like, and all the crazy things that happened on set, so buckle up, it's going to be wild. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be handing out autographs since I'm a famous actor and a part of one of the most successful movies of all time now. Just kidding, but yeah, let me go ahead and jump into it and tell you how I got the gig. So flashback to 2020, or 2019 I guess it was. So I started Googling and doing anything that I could to find out, well, how do you do this? Who's casting for this sort of thing? And then I ended up stumble upon like some information or whatever about people casting extras, and like I basically just started submitting to everyone. And so you had to like submit, you know, headshots and like full body pictures. And true story, the first time I actually got asked to submit photos, it was so sketch. Like I put in these photos, right? And like I called my friend up, his name is John. I was like, dude, they want to see my photos for Spider-Man. And he was like, no way. And I was like, yeah. And so like he came to the house or whatever to take my photos, and he's like, man, this orange shirt, which I picked a shirt to wear in these pictures that I never wear. Probably because it was a bad shirt. It just made me look horrible. And to make matters worse, at the same time, I had a like porn stash. I had like a weird mustache. I don't know why. I guess I was trying to be different. But they called me because they wanted to see my photos for this like donut shop scene, which to be real, if there was anybody that looked like someone that should be behind the counter at a donut shop, I was that dude, because I had the weird mustache and I just looked like the stereotypical dude that was behind the counter at like the Krispy Kreme taking your order and getting you some coffee and stuff. So anyways, but we took these photos and like we just kind of posted up like near this window. I didn't know anything about photography. We just used the phone, and the lighting was horrible, bro. I looked like straight Casper with a mustache in those photos. They were god awful. And I submitted them, which is the crazy thing. But hey, you know, I've always been that type of guy that's like, I want to do this, and when I decide that I want to do something, I just dive in like 2 feet or head first or whatever as fast as I can, and then I just kind of learn as I go, which I don't know if it's a good thing, but hey, that's how I am. That was for the scene actually at the end. Everyone forgets that Tom Holland or Peter Parker is Spider-Man. You know, he goes into that donut shop where Zendaya's working. She maybe kind of recognizes him, but she doesn't really. It was supposed to be that scene when they were working in the donut shop and there was like snow and stuff like that, which would have been amazing, but I didn't get that one. And so I got called finally after submitting all of these photos to be like a city pedestrian. And so I was pumped. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to do this. And it was like one of the only times I think I can say I like wrote something down and it like actually came true. And I was in North Carolina at the time, kind of staying there. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And so basically I booked a hotel. That's another thing. When I was submitting for these roles, I was saying that I was located in Atlanta, Georgia, because that's where they were filming. And I didn't want them to have any sort of reason to like not pick me. And so I was just saying that I was there, even though I was in North Carolina, but I didn't care if I had to travel and stay in a hotel at my own expense. I just wanted to be a part of it because I thought it would be a cool thing to experience. And so they called me, and I got the gig, and I went to Atlanta for, which this is during COVID as well. So like you couldn't just go and do the shoot. You had to go for COVID testing before fitting. So you had to go for COVID testing, which on those days I would literally drive to Atlanta and back to North Carolina in the same day just to do a COVID test, which literally is 15 minutes. They stick the thing up your nose and they rub it around and then you're out. But like I had to do that. So you had to do that like so many days before you could actually go and get fitted. And so I did the COVID test, drove back, and then I went back and did like the fitting or whatever to, you know, figure out what I was going to wear in the scene and that sort of stuff. Yeah, and then I think I had to go and get COVID tested again before I was actually able to be on set. So it was COVID test, North Carolina, fitting, North Carolina, COVID test, North Carolina, and then shoot. They were really strict about COVID and everything. Obviously, the whole world was, but it was, you know, a lot of testing. And so honestly, it made it pretty difficult. It almost didn't happen because that morning, I actually went to go do the shoot, like the day of. It was raining like a hurricane or a monsoon or something. It was pouring rain. Made sure to leave the hotel, like, I think I left like 2 hours early, fam. Like, I was like, I got to get there early because I just want to make sure that I'm going to, you know, not get lost or I'm going to be able to make it. I had a hard time figuring out where to park because it's in downtown Atlanta and I'm not from there. So I was like, bro, I don't know where this like parking deck is. So it was kind of sketch already. Found the wrong parking deck, tried to go in it. Then I ended up having to back out like real sketchy like. So worried that I was going to like mess up my car because I had no idea where I was. But then I actually found the right place to actually park. And I was there like way before everybody else, which people would say is like a good thing. But in this case, it was a negative thing because no one else was there really. I mean, like people were there like working on the movie, but none of the extras were there yet. Because when you're an extra or when you're on a movie set, you have like a call time, right? And I was just like the first one there. And I thought that I was supposed to go like to COVID testing before I was allowed to do anything else. And so I get out of the car, walk across the street and try to find out where this is at. And I see a guy out there that's like, you know, holding like a wand, kind of directing people, I guess. And I ask him, I'm like, hey, where's COVID testing at? Because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go get a COVID test before I can do anything else. And he's like, I think it's on down some like a ways, like a block or two away. You walk down there, that's where all the craft stuff is, which is food. And I walk down there in the rain, mind you, the whole time it's raining, like monsoon like rain. I didn't pack any rain jacket or any umbrella. I was wearing just like Nike shoes that were kind of like mesh. So like, bro, they were not shoes to be wearing in the rain. But I didn't know that I was going to be out there that long. So anyways, I go to the trailer, right? For the COVID people. I like found it after kind of walking around a lot, and it was like in this little area with food. And so I'm like standing outside of the trailer and nothing's happening. Like no one is coming outside. And then I start seeing like people walk past me to go into the trailer, right? I'm just standing outside like in the rain. No one like says anything to me. And so then I'm like, what's up with this? And I go over to one of the tents where the food is. There's no food, but they're just kind of prepping, like setting up. And since it was raining so bad, and at this point I was getting pretty soaked and also pretty annoyed, I asked one of the guys that was setting up, I was like, hey, you know, I'm trying to get a COVID test or whatever so that I can go to set. You know, is it cool if I just stand over here out of the way under this little canopy, like out of the way, right? And the guy was like, no. He literally told me no. And he wanted me to stand outside of the tent. So like, picture this, there's a canopy, right? And it's pouring rain. Literally, here's the wall. And I just wanted to stand in the corner so I could be a little bit out of the rain, you know, so I wasn't getting soaked. Because at this point I was getting pretty like, you know, drenched. And he told me no, and he wanted me to just stand outside of the canopy. It made no sense. It was like one of the rudest things that I've ever experienced. And at that point, I got so like mad. I just basically was like, F this. I have no idea where I'm at or what I'm supposed to do. And so I started walking back because it wouldn't have been that big of a deal maybe if it wasn't pouring, but like I was so soaked that you could hear the water squashing in my shoes, right? Just like walking through the rain, having no idea what I'm supposed to do. And I start walking back to my car. I walk back up a few blocks to where that guy was before, where he's like wanding stuff. And so then I start seeing people, well, as I'm walking back to my car, they're walking, I guess, to me, like past me. And so I start thinking to myself, like, there's a pretty good amount of people walking across the street. I bet these are extras. And so, like, by the grace of God, I guess I was like, maybe, you know, last-ditch effort, try to turn around and follow them. Maybe they know where to go. And so I turned around, drenched, you know, feet just like walking, my hair's all wet. They're probably looking at me like, who's this weirdo, this like homeless guy that's just like roaming around? And then I turned around and started following them. And they go into this like little church area, which is like apparently where the holding was supposed to be for the extras. I had no idea. And so I walk in there and I'm soaked. And immediately when I walk in, there's like a PA, which is a production assistant who's there like checking people in or whatever. And so I walk in and he's like, hey, go ahead and get changed. And the weird thing is that I was like the first one in there still. I walk into this room and I get like my clothes, and there's this guy that comes in. And he's like one of the first ones as well. And he starts changing beside me or whatever. At this point, I'm like soaked and just having a horrible time. But at least I'm in the right space, like where I'm supposed to be. He goes to the bathroom because he's kind of like, you know, a little wet too because it was really raining outside. But he wasn't as drenched as I was. And he goes to the bathroom. He gets like some paper towels. And he kind of like, you know, dries his hair a little bit, dries his arms and stuff. And then like he comes, like he sees me or whatever, and I think I maybe strike up a conversation with him, just like, you know, hey, how you doing? Something like that. And he's like, bro, like you're really drenched. Do you want me to go to the bathroom and get you some paper towels? And I was like, bro, that would be amazing. Like, and then from that moment on, it changed the course of my entire day, bro. Like that little action, and he went to the bathroom and he got me some paper towels. and I was able to kind of dry my hair a little bit. I was still soaked, like my socks were soaked. We were in this church, that's where holding was, and so we were just in there. It was so cold as well. I was like taking my shoes off, trying to like warm up my feet. So pretty much we just hung out in the holding area for a while, and then eventually the production assistants called us and we got into like, you know, a group, and we started going out to like this trailer, which was back where I was originally, right? The COVID trailer. So now we were supposed to go get COVID tested, which didn't make any sense to me because like we went into holding as a group and then we went and got tested. Didn't make any sense, but that's where we went. And then we went and got tested. All our results came back negative. Then we went back to holding, and then they actually started calling people to do shoots and stuff like that, to actually do the scenes. And the crazy thing is that we were down there, like where the COVID tents and stuff like that were, and we were just kind of standing outside. People started getting called to go do shoots, and my friend, the guy that helped me with the paper towels, he got called to go to set. And I just felt my heart sink because like I was worried that I wasn't going to get called to actually go and be in a scene. And that's kind of like how being an extra works. They have a lot of extras there, and not all the time, but in this case they had a lot of extras there, but not all of them made it into a scene. I'm pretty sure everybody felt the same way, like just like kind of, you know, butthurt that they weren't actually getting to go be in front of the camera. And then somebody came back and they asked for another extra, and the guy pointed at me and I went. And I don't know who that guy was, but if you're watching this video, or if this video gets enough views and you see this and you recognize my face, dude, I appreciate you. That was pretty awesome. So they called me, and the assistant director came over. The person that was directing the extras, I think it was like the second AD or something like that, you know, told me what to do. And my friend that had gotten the paper towels was like, you know, supposed to basically like grab a newspaper and look at it and then kind of walk off. And then I was supposed to be walking with this lovely lady. Her and I were supposed to be walking together down the street towards the camera, right? And this is a scene where, again, Spider-Man is going to meet Electro. He jumps off the building and he kind of swings in front of the camera, and then he runs in or whatever. So like my goal was like, bro, we got to walk as fast as possible, because we were kind of far away from the camera, right? But I was like, bro, we're going to get down there in front of the camera, because at all costs, I was like, I got to be in this scene. Like, I just want to like see myself on the screen, you know what I mean? And so, yeah. So pretty much I was just like, if there was a bunch of people in front of me, bro, I would have been knocking them over just trying to get in front of the screen. But yeah, so we were walking, but we were walking with a mission. Like, I was like, just trying to get in front of the camera. And so we did a take or whatever, and gradually each take that we did, I kind of like moved up my starting place, but no one said anything. They were like, you know, pretty cool about it. Camera was on a crane, you know, and it had some movement to it, as you can see like in the shot if you go and you look it up. One of the takes that I was hoping they were going to use, they let us walk all the way down like past the camera, so you would have seen our entire profile like walking. But there was like playing a homeless lady that was outside of the doorway as Spider-Man runs into the like cafeteria area. We walked past her, and when we walked past her, we looked back, and everybody kind of was like, you know, there was some commotion going on, and we were like, yo, what happened? And we looked back, and this lady was on the ground. She had passed out because she hadn't had enough food or whatever. And so like she hit the ground, and me and the girl, the older lady, we were just kind of like, what do we do? And so we were just standing down there, and John Watts, the director, was like standing right beside us, and he was like, what do we do? So they called the ambulance, and we just basically like hung out. And in this scene, they used like a stunt double, and also the suit that's in this scene is CGI. I guess they were trying to figure out if they wanted to shoot more takes, or they were maybe trying to edit it together to see like if it was going to work with what we had done. And yeah, the ambulance came for this lady that had passed out, and she had like a pretty big bump on her noggin. It didn't like, you know, break anything, but she did have kind of like a little bit of a cut because it was concrete. Crazy enough, they actually ended up using, I think, like the first one that we took, because she's in the scene that they ended up using, and we're kind of far back, so like you can't see my face or her face or anything like that. I mean, you can see it kind of like a blur, but that jacket that I'm wearing is blue, and I actually have it in a closet to this day, as well as some of the other clothes, which is pretty cool. And then my friend is like, you know, at the newspaper stand, and, you know, it was just ups and downs. But then also after we shot that scene, they did some more scenes on that street, and we were kind of like way in the background, just walking like on a sidewalk, like just pedestrians in a city, you know, because this was basically just on a street, smaller street in Atlanta, but it was supposed to be like New York or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy. We gave the rest of our food to a homeless man that was there. That was pretty eye-opening as well, because we were downtown, and you know, we were supposed to, they were supposed to have everything kind of sealed off, but in Atlanta, you know, homelessness is just kind of like around. And so like, a guy came up to us after we were eating our crafty food and asked us if he could have it. And we were done with it or whatever. And we gave it to him and he just literally sat down and started eating it off of our forks and everything like that. And I was like, bro, that's crazy. But I'm glad that we were able to give it to him because we were just going to throw it away. So pretty cool. I went back up to Atlanta and watched the movie with my friend, you know, in theaters. And we saw our scene on the big screen, which was cool. No one would ever know that I was in it, but I know. So, and I've also, too, I don't know if I should say this, but I kind of snagged a prop as well when we were leaving the set from the scene after the lady had fallen and we were just hanging out, you know, and we realized that we weren't going to do more takes. There were some actual like newspaper stands that you can see, right, that are it's made to look like New York, and there was newspapers in them. And if you see the movie, right, like one of the first scenes is Tom Holland, his character is like reading like a newspaper. Well, those newspapers, not that exact one, but newspapers like it with Tom Holland Spider-Man like on the front of the cover were like in that newspaper stand. And like when I was walking back, the lady that I walked with down the street, she was in front of me when we were walking back to Holding, and she reached in one of those bins, one of those newspaper dispensers, and grabbed one. And when I saw her do that, I just made a split-second decision that I was going to do it too. Because, bro, if you're on a set of one of the biggest movies, you gotta have a prop. You gotta have something to show for it. And so I was like, I just want to make sure. And so I grabbed the newspaper. It says Spider-Man as Peter Parker, like question mark on the newspaper, and it's got Tom Holland Spider-Man with like some headphones in, kind of looking to the side. I have it framed. Pretty dope like prop and pretty dope like keepsake from my experience. I also have one of the passes from when I went to the Trillia Studios for the actual movie, and it has its working title, which was Serenity Now, and it has my name and it's from the studio. That's about it. After being an extra in Spider-Man No Way Home, I went on to do some more gigs. I was an extra in a couple of other things like Ozark, also The First Lady,